How many of you have ever learned about home fires before today? Raise your hand for me. Great, great. Yep. Fire department comes in, talks to you about fire safety, and it's very, very important. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to prepare for a home fire. And this is one of the most common emergencies that the Red Cross responds to. In fact, every 8 minutes, the Red Cross responds to a home fire. You know how during the other session, we talked about this map, this hazards map, which shows you all the different hazards that occur in the United States. Well, home fires actually occurs across the entire United States. And that's why we had that statistic that every 8 minutes, the Red Cross responds to a home fire. So today we're going to talk about 2 ways that you can prepare for a home fire. And the first involves this. So raise your hand if you can tell me what this is. All right? What is it? It's a smoke detector or a smoke alarm. Very good, very good. And these are very, very important to help us prepare for home fires. What they do is they have a sensor that detects smoke, and then they sound a very, very loud alarm. And the alarm is meant to either wake us up or get our attention so that we can get out fast. And that's something else you need to remember today. When you go back to where you live and you talk to the people that live with you, the most important thing to share is to get out fast. In fact, we ask that you try to get out in 2 minutes or less. 2 minutes or less. Say that with me. 2 minutes or less. Okay? So, you've got the smoke alarm, and the smoke alarm is designed to alert you that smoke is present, and so you can get out fast. Okay? So these things actually run on batteries, and batteries run out. So think about your cell phone, a flashlight, maybe even the car battery. Those things run out and they die. And what happens when they die? They stop working, right? So we want to make sure that our smoke alarm battery is always working. So we need to test it. There's a button right here that says push to test. Okay? So we want you to do that. We want you to have a grown-up in your household test your smoke alarms to make sure the battery is still working so that they can warn you if there's smoke present and you can get out. Okay? So I want you to open your workbook up to page 7. We've got a page in here that'll help you remember, or you can work with the people in your household, and you can all remember together test that smoke alarm once a month. Okay, so on this page here at the bottom, you'll write the date here. And the date is actually the day of the month that you choose as a group to test your smoke alarm. So maybe it's the first day, maybe it's the 15th day. It's whatever you guys decide. And then as you test your alarm, you actually mark it off. So this is a visual way that you can remember to test that smoke alarm. And how often are we going to do it? Right, once a month. So say that with me. Once a month, we're going to test that smoke alarm to make sure it still works. Okay, great. Now, let's think about this. Raise your hand if you have one of these in your home or where you live. Very good. Everybody should have these. Now, let's think about where they should go. We want them to detect smoke so that they warn us to get out fast. And so we need to put these in special places throughout our house. First of all, you make sure that you have these on every floor. So if your house is only one floor, it's only one story, then you only need them on that floor. But if you have a house that has maybe your bedrooms upstairs, you need to make sure that the smoke alarms are downstairs and upstairs. Okay? So tell me some of the places that you've seen smoke alarms in your home. Great, great. Yep. Hallways, outside your bedrooms, in your family living areas, outside the kitchen. Those are all great answers, and that's exactly right. So you want to make sure they're outside the bedroom, because if a fire occurs while you're sleeping, you want to make sure that the smoke detector detects that smoke and sets off that loud alarm so that you can get out fast. Okay? So good. So now we know we need a smoke alarm. We need to test it. How often? Right, once a month. And you understand where they need to be placed. Very good, very good. So oftentimes we know that fires occur most often in the kitchen and also in an area where there's a fireplace or there's a space heater. So we want to make sure that we've cleared those areas with things that might start a fire. So for instance, in the kitchen, you want to make sure that your kitchen towel or your hot mat is not near the stove. And in your family area, you want to make sure that you don't have sweaters or socks or things that could catch on fire near your space heater or near your fireplace. There's other things that you can talk and share with your family or the people that you live with about how to make sure that you're safer. So for instance, never leave something cooking in the kitchen or never leave your space heater on when you go to bed at night. So all those are really good guides for trying to stay safe and prepare. But the number one thing we want to make sure you do is to have that smoke detector and test it. How often? Right, once a month. And have them in places where it can help you guys get out fast and be safe. Okay? So the second thing that we're going to talk about in terms of preparing for a home fire is to have an escape plan. So here in your school, you have on the wall here, usually, you have by the door an escape route. And a couple times a year, there'll be a fire drill. So raise your hand if you've ever been in a fire drill, if you remember that, okay? Good. All right, so tell me what you do in that fire drill. Right. You line up by the door. Everybody walks out quietly and orderly, either to the playground or to the big tree or to the parking lot. You all go somewhere that you know where to go and you get out safely and quickly, right? So you need to do that same thing in your home. You need to have an escape plan, just like you have here at school. So go back to your workbook, open to page 7 again, and you'll see a way for you to work and share this information with the people you live with so that you can create your own escape plan for your home, all right? So here's a sample here, but this is where you draw your house here. So you draw your a picture of your home, every room in your home, and then you're going to create 2 ways to get out of every room, okay? So what they've done on this sample is they've got a red arrow showing you the number 1 way to get out of each room, and then they have a blue or black arrow that shows the 2nd way to get out of every room. And that's important because oftentimes or sometimes in a home fire, the number 1 way is blocked. So the number 1 way is usually the door. And a lot of times it could be blocked. So you need that 2nd way to get out. So maybe it's a window, okay? So draw your escape plan and have the red arrow for the 1st way to get out of each room and then the blue or black arrow for the 2nd way to get out of each room, okay? And then just like at school, you want to practice that. You want to practice that escape plan. So you need a grown-up to stand on a ladder to push that test button on one of the smoke detectors so that the alarm goes off. And then everybody in your family needs to practice going out of the escape route to get out fast, okay? Remember what we said, you need to get out in 2 minutes or less, okay? Good. Now, notice here on the picture you've got this tree. And what do those words say? Right, meet here. So this is the meeting place. So you need a meeting place, just like at school where the whole classroom went out to the parking lot or the playground. You need that meeting place designated before an emergency occurs so that everyone knows where to go. And you can put that right here on your plan, okay? So what are some good ideas for a meeting place? Tree, for sure. Right. Mailbox, neighbor's house, swing set. Those are all great ideas. Just make sure that you get somewhere that's safe because it's far enough away from the fire to where you won't get hurt. Okay? So good. So you've got your escape plan, you've got your meeting space, they're all set up, and now you need to practice. And we talked about that a little bit. But right here, you can actually write on your plan when you practice. And we actually recommend that you practice twice a year, just like they do at school. Okay? Now, think about this. If the fire alarm goes off, you know what your escape route is, you know what your meeting place is, you're ready to get out, but you need to be careful because you need to avoid smoke. Smoke occurs in a fire, and it's actually a little more dangerous than the actual flames because smoke can get in your lungs and it makes it very, very hard to breathe. But smoke rises, so smoke's up in the top of your ceiling. And down below, the air is clean. So when you're escaping, when you're going through your escape route, you need to do what we call get low and go. So that means get down on all fours and crawl out as fast as you can. Okay? So not belly roll, because that's not very fast, but actually on your hands and knees and crawl out as fast as you can, because you're under the smoke where the air is clean. Okay? But before you can go out into the hallway, you need to make sure that it's safe. So one way to do that, actually there's two things you need to do. First of all, you need to test the door to see if it's hot. Because if it's hot, that means that the flames are too close and you can't go out that exit. You need to go out your second exit. So you test the door by touching it with the back of your hand. And we use the back of our hand because feel it. Everybody feel the back of your hand. The skin is really thin, right? So you can feel that heat a lot better than if you use the front of your hand. Okay? So you feel the door with the back of your hand. If it's not hot, then you touch the knob. And if that's not hot, you need to carefully open the door and peek out and make sure it's safe, and then crawl, get low and go. Get out of the house as fast as you can and go to that meeting place. Okay? So, 3 things to remember. Get out, stay out, and then call 911. So what do I mean by stay out? What I mean by that is, should you go back in if you forgot your phone? No. Should you go back in if you forgot your pillowcase? No. Should you go back in if you forgot your cat? No. You should not go back in for anything. You get out as fast as you can and you stay out. And then once everybody's at the meeting place, you call 911. Okay? So then once you call 911, the firefighters are going to come. And if there's anything essential that you need to get out of the house, they'll go on it and then get it, because they've got on protective gear, they've got the breathing masks, so they can go in and save anything that needs to be saved. Okay? So 3 things to remember. Get out, stay out, call 911. Okay? Say that with me. Get out, stay out, call 911. Very good. Very good. Okay, so you guys are great. You've learned about the 2 ways we prepare for a home fire. We have a smoke alarm and we test it once a month. We have an escape plan with a meeting place, and we know how to be safe getting out of the house. Awesome. Okay, so now let's practice. You've learned, let's practice. Okay, so we're going to do a practice activity. I need 4 volunteers. I need 2 people to be our smoke alarm. Okay, good. And I need 2 people to hold this sheet. So you guys are going to be the smoke, all right? So we want to wave the sheet, but we want to wave it high enough so that we can get low and go underneath it, because that's how the smoke will act, all right? Everybody else needs to line up, and when the smoke alarm goes off, the smoke starts to wave, and then one by one, I want you guys to get low and go, and you're going to come over here to the meeting spot, which we've decided is Miss Lambert's desk, okay? So you ready to practice? Awesome. All right. Very good. Very good. Okay, you guys did a great job. Definitely got out. And how fast? 2 minutes or less. Very, very good. Okay, perfect. All right, now, sometimes when you're in a fire or when you're in an emergency, a lot of times, we get scared. We get anxious. We get nervous. So I want to share a story with you about a couple of students about your age and what they did to help calm themselves down. Okay? So this is something else you can share at home. You can share the workbook with all the different things in it that we've talked about today. You can also share this story, okay? So I'm going to read it for you. Angela's friend Carlos was scared. There had been a fire at his home. There had been a fire at a home on his block, not his home, 2 weeks ago, with lots of fire trucks and flames and smoke. No one had been hurt in the fire, but Carlos couldn't stop thinking about what might happen if a fire started in his home. He told Angela about it and found out that she had learned a lot about home fire preparedness from the Pillowcase project, just like you guys. She said, we even talked about feeling scared. And she told Carlos lots of people feel worried or scared when they think about what might happen in an emergency, even the grown-ups. But there are ways to handle those feelings. They're called coping skills. And you can figure out good coping skills before an emergency happens. So what could Angela teach Carlos to help him cope with his thoughts and feelings about what might happen during a home fire? So you can share this story with the people that you live with, and you can talk about ways that you guys can, cope with those feelings. And you learned one today. You learned about breathing with color. So you can talk about that, but you can also just, as a group, discuss some other ways that might help you cope with those feelings, like just taking slow breaths, or sticking with a buddy so you don't feel alone, or even singing a favorite song or picturing a favorite story so you don't think so much about feeling scared. Okay? So, we've learned a lot today about being prepared for a home fire. And you've got a lot of things that you can go home and share with the people you live with. You're going to create your fire escape plan with your meeting spot, and you're going to document what day of the month you're going to test your smoke alarms, and you're going to mark that down throughout this year so that you know they work and they can go off and warn you if smoke is detected from a fire. Okay? And then finally, we want to make sure that everyone knows the 3 most important things: get out, stay out, and call 911. Okay? So quickly before we leave, let's review. What are the 2 things you should do to prepare for a home fire emergency? We've talked about those a lot. Exactly. Test your smoke alarms. Perfect. Create an escape plan. That's right. That's exactly what you want to do. And then question number 2, what are 2 things you should do to avoid smoke when you're escaping a home fire? Good. You're going to get low and go, and you're going to test your doors before you open them to make sure it's safe. And then finally, what's the most important rule for escaping a home fire? Good. Get out, stay out, call 911. Let's say that together one last time. Get out, stay out, call 911.